So when I say the words natural history, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it, dusty museum dioramas? Maybe old books filled with delicate butterfly sketches? For a lot of us, the term feels a bit old-fashioned. But what if I told you it's actually one of the most fundamental and relevant human practices there is? Let's go on a little inquiry of our own and see what we can dig up. To really get to the heart of what this is all about, let's start with a question. And I want you to really think about this for a second. What is the single oldest, most continuous tradition that connects every single human culture all throughout history? It's this, the simple but profound act of just paying attention. This practice is so deeply woven to our survival, into our very consciousness, that for most of human history, it wasn't even seen as a separate activity. It was just, it was just part of being alive. And that, right there, is where our explainer really begins. Because this isn't just some scientific discipline we're talking about. It's an ancient story that starts on the walls of caves and is still going on today, even in the middle of our busiest cities. I mean, think about it. Human consciousness was literally forged by the need to pay attention. Our patterns of attention were sharpened by watching for danger, by seeking out food. This deep, focused observation wasn't some kind of hobby. It was the absolute key to survival. So, how did this totally fundamental practice get a name like natural history? And what does that name even really mean? Well, this is where a really common misunderstanding trips a lot of people up. It all comes down to a classic mistranslation. The term we use today comes from a Roman scholar, Pliny the Elder, who wrote this massive encyclopedia called Historia Naturalis. But in this context, historia doesn't mean history, like things that happened in the past. A much better translation is looking into or inquiring into. So it's not about the history of nature, it's about a way of seeing into nature. This brings us to a fantastic modern definition from the naturalist Thomas L. Fleischner. He calls natural history a practice of intentional, focused attentiveness and receptivity to the more than human world, guided by honesty and accuracy. Now, the words you really got to grab onto there are practice, attentiveness, and receptivity. And this quote, it just nails the core idea. It's not some static subject you memorize out of a book. It is something you do. It's an active, engaged process of paying attention. It's a verb. Okay, so if it's a practice, how do you do it? What are the tools? Well, it turns out the toolkit is surprisingly simple, and it has an incredibly powerful legacy. I mean, the lineage here is just astounding. It stretches all the way from Aristotle's incredibly meticulous work classifying animals, through Pliny the Elder, and right up to Charles Darwin. His world-changing theory of evolution wasn't born in a lab. It was built on a foundation of careful, patient, natural history observations he made during his voyage on the Beagle. And the process they all used? It basically boils down to these 3 simple steps. First, you start with direct, careful observation. Then, you describe what you're seeing. This is how you start to notice patterns. And finally, you ask that all-important question, why? Curiosity, that's the engine that drives every discovery. Now, all this individual work, done by countless naturalists, it all contributes to something massive, our incredible museum collections. And these are not just dusty relics. They are invaluable libraries of data. These specimens let scientists track the spread of invasive species, monitor the effects of climate change, and even understand how diseases like West Nile virus and the flu get transmitted. So here's the crucial point. This ancient practice is more important today than it has ever been. Its relevance stretches from our own personal well-being all the way to the health of the entire planet. First off, you can think of natural history as the bedrock of all good science. Careful observation and description, that's the real-world evidence that every single major integrative theory is built on, from plate tectonics to evolution to genetics. A theory is only as sturdy as the observations it stands on. Second, and this is a big one, we simply cannot take care of our world without it. How can we possibly create an effective conservation plan for a species if we know nothing about it? How can we protect vital habitats if we don't understand the relationships they hold? Natural history provides those accurate portraits of places and organisms that make any kind of stewardship possible. And its impact is also incredibly practical, day-to-day stuff. Understanding how organisms and their environments behave is essential for tracking diseases, for managing agriculture effectively, and for ensuring global food security. It connects directly to our health, and our ability to feed ourselves. But really, beyond all of that, the practice of natural history, it just makes us better. It makes us psychologically healthier, more connected to the place we live, and frankly, better citizens. It grows a sense of compassion and stewardship that is so vital in the world today. And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of all this. Because this powerful ancient practice isn't just for scientists in lab coats or famous explorers. It's for you. This quote, it gets right to the very heart of it. This isn't some skill you have to learn from scratch. It's a fundamental human capacity you were born with. It's your birthright. And that's the absolute beauty of it. Natural history is for everyone. It doesn't require any special equipment, no advanced degrees, no exclusive club membership. It's one of the most inclusive and accessible practices you can possibly imagine. All it asks is that you engage your senses. So that really leaves us with one final, inspiring question. Whether it's a city park, your own backyard, or even just a crack in the sidewalk, what wonders are just waiting there to be seen if you only take a moment to truly look?